anything. This whole sermon has just happened. When we breathe in peace, and it is our biggest hope ever that we breathe out more love. Amen? Amen. Friends, again, morning. Although breathing is one of the most natural habits we possess, it can often be one of the first things we forget to do, especially when we are stressed out. Another amen? Amen. So when we are in the times we continue to find ourselves in on the social, geopolitical fronts, do we need to remember to breathe? Maybe do some extra breathing and deeply, just because. As a church, we have been following the Soul Matters curriculum for some time. This is a curriculum used by some 300 other Unitarian Universalist congregations around the country to work together in growing our spiritual practices. This month's theme has been embodying resilience. Here at First Church, our theme circles, our small group ministries, and as a worship team, we've been working to deepen our collective understandings and practices of resilience, especially now. When I say resilience, what comes to mind? How do you, might you define it for yourself? Take a few seconds to think about it. I found two different definitions I would like to share. The first is from the American Psychological Association online. It defines resilience as the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, and behavioral flexibility and adjustments to external and internal demands. It goes on to read a number of factors contribute to how well people adapt to adversities, predominant among them, A, the ways in which individuals view and engage with the world, B, the availability of quality of social resources, and C, specific strategies, coping strategies. It further states psychological research demonstrates that the resources and skills associated with more positive adjustment, i.e. greater resilience, can be cultivated in practice, also called psychological resilience, end quote. Does this resonate for any of you? Nobody? I don't see no hand. Okay, I'm just checking to see if we're here. Another definition is from the United States Department of State, Diplomacy in Action. Its website reads, quote, "What is resilience? Resilience refers to the ability to successfully adapt to stressors, maintaining psychological well-being in the face of adversity. It is the ability to bounce back from difficult experiences. Resilience is not, say not a trait that people either have or do not have. It involves behaviors, thoughts, and actions that can be learned and developed in everyone. Resilience is about being adaptable. It's about being flexible. It's about recognizing that we've got strength that perhaps we never knew we had until we used them," end quote. Does this definition resonate? Oh, I got 3 yeses up here on the chancel. So when sitting with my ministerial colleagues and our worship associates team here a few months ago, thinking and being in dialogue about this subject, my mind was all abuzz, musing and reflecting about what resilience means and has meant in my life over the last I'll be 58 in April. 58 in April. I settled on today's sermon topic and theme of fortifying our resilience. Let me say from the outset that there are times we cannot or do not need to be resilient. Do I need to repeat that? Yes. I will repeat this. There are times when we cannot or do not need to be resilient. When we have experienced the death of a loved one, such as some of us are feeling today, or when the realities of one's life are just too much, we can, even must, rest our need or desire to be resilient. In thinking over your own life, when facing stressors, what has been or might be some of the tools you have employed to help you navigate such times? What is your treasure chest of resources if needed in such times? Moreover, when you have faced the realities of traumatic experiences, clearly aware of some of us right now being in the middle of traumatic experiences as we gather, what resources do you have or might you use to adapt to what has been going on or is going on with and for you? Think about it. Maybe what's in your proverbial chest of resources that you can lean into in such times to build your capacity for resilience. Before moving on, I needed to double back and share a heartfelt thank you to Katie, our worship associate, for the reflection she provided this morning. Amen? Amen. That was indeed filled with levels of her full humanity and the kind of vulnerability I so believe this religious community is co-creating space for now. Again, I got some amens I didn't ask for. Amen. Again, thank you, Katie. To share so openly when trauma has impacted your life and our lives, for the spiritual, religious, and emotional support that does happen here is truly a blessing. Amen. As you might imagine, coming packaged as I am, 7/8 African American, 1/8 Chinese, all right for Chinese New Year, a 401% gay male, a working class intellectual, and a Unitarian Universalist minister. Do you think I have endured some trauma in my life? I'm here to tell you, yes, I have, and say and. I have been in and am in some therapy for many years. Amen. I didn't think I would get that reaction. Do I appear fragile? I have been in therapy for years doing my ongoing, certainly never-ending healing from what has and is happening in my life. Friends, there's no magic in doing our healing journeys. Zero magic. It's ongoing, soul-deep work which we all deserve no matter what the costs. For me, from childhood sexual trauma, being a prostate cancer survivor for 19 years, experiencing death, so much death, some through gun violence in my immediate family, I do know trauma. I hope you've had a few seconds to bring a few of your treasure chest tools for being resilient to mine. Are you willing to share some of your resources out loud so we can have a cacophony of resources? If so, say amen. Amen. Let's hear it. Singing. Joy. Healthy human touch. What? Breathing. Walking in nature. Gardening. Exercise. Times for nothing. Okay, I think we got, okay. Chocolate, somebody said chocolate. For my February Chanticleer newsletter submission, our monthly newsletter, I offered through this service that we might explore the power art, beauty, rest, and ancestral wisdom may have in supporting me, us all, as we cultivate resources for ongoing resilience. For me, Part of my ongoing spiritual practices, including and beyond regular therapy, are, yes, doing laundry, which I do truly love, taking in beauty, even or especially in the inner city here in Milwaukee, spending time with friends, and in my ever-growing personal art collection in my apartment home, online, and in museums. Taking in music in all kinds. Please say this with me. Sitting, setting, personal, and professional boundaries, and giving grace to myself and to others along the way. One significant way I practice building more resilience in my life is through engaging in the many ways ancestral wisdom is all around us. What do I mean? Do I mean that I talk to dead people, as it were? No, I do not mean this, but there are practitioners who honor, even venerate the dead, and do this as a part of indigenous spiritual and religious practices the world over. I do honor this as a good path as any to truth as any other practices. What I'm referring to is captured in this morning's opening words through "There is a Storm a-Brewing" by the local poet. Through some of today's music so far, and through the poem I will now share by Dr. Monique Liston, a local, I'm getting applause up here for Dr. Liston, a local poet, scholar, and chief strategist of Ubuntu research and evaluation. Dr. Liston crafted this poem in her recently published collection of poetry. The book is titled Fractals. The poem I'm reading is called Remember Us. It reads, quote, Langston Hughes once said, "My motto as I live and learn is to dig and to be dug in return." My mama said, "Remember Langston." She had us read his poems, memorize stanzas, know his work. I don't forget him. I return to his words often when I have questions. I see, is there anything that connects that might lead me to new insights? It's not just him, because my professor told me, remember Baldwin. And my homegirls told me, remember Tony. And then I grew new friends, and they told me, remember Audrey, remember Octavia, remember Belle, remember Marcia. And the elders reminded me to remember John, remember Asa, remember Kwame, and of course, I remember Malcolm so hard that I cannot know another. Oh yes, I remember now. Fanny, Harriet, Amy Jakes or Jax, Nanny, Hatshepsut. Might as well have them tattooed under my right breast. The dignified life, it seems to me, is one where you are seen as worthy enough to teach the next generation to remember you. So for me, yes, I have a strong spiritual, even religious practice of studying James Baldwin, Buford Delaney, Baldwin's spiritual mentor, Bell Hooks, Toni Morrison, Polly Murray, and so many others, as they live the kind and quality of lives that also feed me where I am hoping to grow in my own living. It's also true that for me, more personally, when I spend any amount of time thinking about my personal ancestors only a few generations back, I can only imagine the lives they must have led, leading to the life I am living. I am truly humbled and challenged to know I can and must do more from the resilience they had to possess and left me to study and to live. As my mother passed away when I was 1 21-year-old, my father's second wife died when I was 20, and my father passed away my third year of seminary. They are not often far from my thoughts, and I'm reminded they were examples of the kind of resilience I can and am building upon in my own life and living. As I'm starting to bring today's sermon to a close, I was gobsmacked to find there is more recent research out that states there are times when resilience may be undesirable. In an online article from New Ideas in Psychology, volume 73 from April 2024, titled, "When Resilience Becomes Undesirable, a Cautionary Note." There are findings in the article that are deeply rooted in psychological theories, neuroscience, and graphics and graphs that are well beyond my merely bachelor's degree in psychology. But I recommend the article to you if you're interested in learning more. What I found to be profound and maybe useful to us all was what it cautioned us to have in being aware that resilience must be understood through nuanced lenses. Specifically, the researchers of the article cautioned us to be aware that encouraging some to just bounce back can be very harmful in that some may view bouncing back as going back to old patterns of thoughts and behaviors that can produce stuckness in older unhealthy habits unintentionally. Of course, this is not useful. The authors did support resilience that supports growth into traumatic experiences and other adaptive behaviors when possible. In bringing today's Fortifying Resilience worship service to its close, how has Unitarian Universalism and First Church in particular been a part of supporting you in building your resilience treasure chest? In my nearly 7 months of being here as your acting assistant minister with a little bit of glee, I have witnessed the deep engagement members and friends of this church have in social justice efforts of today, with deep involvement with the protest. Who here been on a protest, either singing or writing letters, or I ain't got but 2 people raising their hand? I know that's a lot, right? And through all of the programming, let me do a mini list. The Solidarity Choir here is booming with 265 members. I hear that there's other multitude of ways of getting involved in the actions that don't involve being on the front line. Amen? I hear y'all do some immigration justice and support and farm. Amen? What about our chronologically gifted that meets once a month with potluck that I'm going to this afternoon? Circle suppers, ongoing reading groups, weekly forum. Do I need to go on? Somebody said no. But you do have a right to rest when needed, amen? Amen? Friends, again, there is no magic in fortifying our resilience. And through our fire of commitment and holding out on, we can get there together, collectively, to engage the mission and vision of First Church as sustainably as we can, for more love is possible. Ashe, shalom, salam, blessed be, may it be so, and amen. Amen.